today we are continuing on with our Halloween games with Halloween. Seemed like the appropriate game. It was named as such.
Very appropriate.
So before we get into it, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell right over that way. So you can follow along as we continue through our massive game of collection and continue hitting up all these Halloween games for now. Got our huge haul from Gen Con we're working our way through. And so we got a lot of new games coming to show you. So let's talk about this game, though, Halloween. So this is a game that was released in 2017 from Quined Games. It has a rating currently on Board Game Geek of 6.9, a rank of 5,861. It plays 2 to 4 players. It plays in 45 to 90 minutes average, and age is 12 and up recommended. Probably with all the iconography, it's probably good that they're 12 and up.
Probably.
Yeah. Design is Angelo De Mayo. Art but is Konstantin Bullwinkle, and it looks like it's out of print. Couldn't find it anywhere for sale. I did find it on Board Game Geek for sale from several different people. A lot of them were in Europe, but in the United States, I did see one copy being sold new for $45. So this is a deluxe version. Quined did a bookshelf series of deluxe games. This is one of that. And you know, as we get into quality pieces, you'll see why. So let's jump right into the quality pieces. So the most notable thing you're going to see is we've got these miniature ghosts that are all really nice. There's 5 different styles of them that range in strength from the weakest being the blue up to the strongest being the red. Really, really well designed ones. You've got these dice that match the colors of the ghosts that are standard, role-playing dice, but they're in the various colors that match the different ghosts. The cardboard tokens were really thick. They punched smooth. I really, it was not any hanging chads or anything. It was just really nicely perforated.
So you didn't have to get a recount because there were no hanging chads.
No, we were not Florida. So these were really nice. They're not like linen finished like the ones I really like, but these are still pretty good. They're solid. Unfortunately, the player boards are not even cardboard. They're just thick paper.
Yeah.
And same for the cheat sheets that they give you. There's a lot of wooden bits. The biggest complaint I had with them is they looked a lot alike. You had bigger circles, littler circles, but they were not that different. And then they had pumpkins, which were almost circles.
And then the color.
And the purple ones are the only ones we saw an issue with. But the purple action tokens, the bigger circles, didn't match the same color. As a matter of fact, they looked like they were 2 different colors of paint that kind of smeared together of a purple and a magenta. So they were not quite the same, but Miranda didn't seem to mind having more purples. The first player tokens is really cool pumpkin with carved, jack-o'-lantern, really, I should say, not a pumpkin. So I thought that was neat. It was very thematic for Halloween. You get some glass beads that mark your ghost levels, which, they're fine. There's nothing real exciting about those. But all in all, with and the main board is nice sturdy thickness, and it's actually got a really neat print of Halloween. Like it says Halloween, it has a nice house with pumpkins on it, and it was really pretty art on the back of it. But we'll get to that in theme. But it's a solid board. I'm gonna probably give it an 8. Is what I'm thinking as far as the quality of the components. Oh, I didn't mention the cards. The cards are not linen finished. But they are good stock. They're not thin. And you get 54 of them, but you only play with 8 in a given game. So there's a lot of variability in this game, which is nice. But yeah, I think an 8's where I'm at on this. What did you think?
Yeah, I think, like you said, the ghosts are really nice. I think those are bump it up a whole lot because, like you said, the player boards and other things. Some of those things are a little, but those ghosts definitely do bump it up, and I'd say I'd agree with an 8.
Okay. So moving on to theme. So this is a Halloween theme. You've got ghosts that are visiting 6 different locations, and their goal is to scare people to get scare points that can use them to get stronger. And you can upgrade the ghosts. And the ghosts are common public area domain, so everybody controls all the ghosts. So you can choose which ones to move and take actions with, which we'll get to more in gameplay. But the way the theme of this played into the actions, I thought was very nicely done. It really does fit the game, and I can't think of a better theme that would overlay the actions in this game. I mean, it should be a Halloween theme, and it is, and it's fun. You scare ghosts, don't like the other types of ghosts, so they'll fight each other. You can and take advantage of that. You guys took advantage of it to try to stop me a few times.
I tried,
but it didn't change. I'm still the ultimate Dark Lord as per the game's winning condition.
We'll let you keep calling yourself.
That's right. That seems very fitting for me, the ultimate Dark Lord.
Yes, it does.
You haven't known me long enough. So yeah, I thought I thought the theme of this was a lot of fun, and I love the ghosts. I think those are really pretty. I said the art. I think the art is really pretty on the buildings. Oh, this is what the here is what the back looks like. Is that house?
No, that house. Okay.
Yeah. So the board is very pretty with the different locations. I like the way the light shines out of them. It does look creepy, but yet it's very pretty. And I like the bright colors, almost like ectoplasmic colors on the cards and on the player boards. I mean, it's very dark but vibrant as far as the color offset. I think that's really pretty. They did something similar to that in the Magnificent, and I really like the look of it there. But there I was trying to give a fetch almost like a neon light. But this one, it's more ectoplasmic, which is fitting for a ghost theme.
Yeah, I mean, like the color scheme and everything also makes me think of like Last Night on Earth. With the lights, the dark, the high drama lights and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely fitting for the ghosts and the haunting and everything like that. Just the spooky aspect. Not that it's a very spooky game.
Yeah, no. The mechanics definitely are not spooky at all. But
though you're spooking the people in the area, but but I think thematically it is a very well done, visually, thematically, and actually gameplay thematically is very well done.
Yeah. So from that perspective, I think I'm probably a 9 as far as theme goes. I really enjoyed this theme.
I was just thinking the same thing as far as theme goes. That it's hit all the marks. 9 is a good number.
All right, so let's talk about the rule book now. So the rule book is 20 pages long. It is pitch black with orange, very Halloween-y on the cover. It's pretty basic. It has a little description, but not much about it as far as the game. It gets into it. They try to make little humorous comments throughout. I appreciate that. Yes. Some of them were a miss, but most of them were, they were not great, but they were little tiny humorous jokes and comments. So it's not quite to the level of humor as like a Vlada Chvátil one from like the Galaxy Trucker or Dungeon Pets, but it's still got humorous comments throughout. It was nice change of pace, because 20 pages can be monotonous, even though I will say there's a lot of pictures in the book. There's, it didn't read like a 20-page rule book. I mean, we got through it pretty quick. Yeah. There are some very standing out white boxes where it says attention and gives you kind of an important key point that they wanted to highlight. That is kind of the black contrast with the white was a little bit off-putting, but not bad. I mean, it's still readable.
It got your attention.
It definitely gets your attention, but yeah, it seems like it could have been some little graying and smoothing around it. Maybe you could have done like a ghostly blurb or something, but yeah, it's definitely popping. It's sectioned nicely as far as the different actions going through each one and what you can do from your player board, because your player board basically controls the game. Then there's the end of the game, and then you've got variant for 2 players. There's a completely different variant of playing it for master level, and that takes out, it seems like a good chunk of the game when you play it at that master level. So I don't know that we'll ever try that, because it seems like, while it does seem like it would make things more complicated, and I guess it would take away some of the potential luck of the game.
Right.
It's going to make it, it seems a lot drier to me.
Yes.
And then there's, like, they walk through every action card in the game, which, like I said, there's 54 or 52, maybe, I can't remember. It was 52 or 54 in the deck, but there's only 8 that ever are going to be in play. So there's a bunch of cards for them to explain. It is 52 cards. And then it goes through the bonus tokens, all the different permutations of those. There is a cheat sheet, but it's really just for your actions. It doesn't give you a cheat sheet for the different iconography. So the cards, there's only 8 of them. You're going to have to look them up before the game starts. Right. That's when, there's no way they could have really made a good cheat sheet for the cards in this. True. I don't think. There's just 52 of them. They could have done a separate booklet for it, but you're still looking through a book to find them.
Right.
The bonus tokens, they could have done that as a one-pager, and they could have had a cheat sheet for that. That would have been nice. But the iconography on the tokens is pretty basic. Mm-hmm. So once you learn it, you're not going to need to reference it. It's I thought the rulebook was pretty well done. I did see one place where, in one of the jokes they made, no less, there was a typo where they repeated the same word accidentally. But I think that was the only thing I saw that was like a translation issue or a typo type situation. So I'm going to probably give it an 8. I think it's a pretty good rule book. I mean, I read it.
Yeah, you read it to me.
You got it better than I did.
Yes, many times I had to say, "Oh wait, isn't it this way?" But yeah, it was easy to understand as he was reading it to me.
And it wasn't that dry. I mean,
yeah, and like the jokes weren't distracting. Like there are times when people throw in some fluff into the rules, and it gets a little distracting. Mm-hmm. And this one, it wasn't distracting. It was just fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to gameplay. So in this game, you've got basically a player board that is going to give you 3 action charts. They're all 3 exactly the same. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of the game, you're going to be at the level blue ghost. And on the board, there's actually only going to be blue ghosts to start the game out. There are going to be 3 blue ghosts at the beginning of the game, and they're all going to start in the police station.
Yes.
I'm not sure why 3 ghosts are congregating in the police station. That appears to be the most haunted location in the city at the beginning. I guess, I don't know.
Perhaps they were electrocuted or...
Yeah, at the police station. Usually
I guess
they
not.
would do that at the prison.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For whatever reason, 3 ghosts like to congregate at the police station. So on your player board, you've got the glass beads that indicate your level of strength of the ghosts that you can control, and then you've got 3 markers at the end of your track that tell you whether you've used that action or not. So you're just using those every round to mark that you've already taken an action on that row. So the rows have 6 different actions you can take that are displayed on that player board. There's a 7th action you can take on each row, but that's to rest. And resting lets you get all of your action tokens back, because when you take one, it stays there until you rest or until you have another game action that lets you remove them. So the different actions you can take, the first one is to summon a ghost. So in that case, you have to have 2 ghosts of the same color already on the board at the same location. If that happens, you can use the summon ability to bring a ghost into play of that same type. So we could add another blue ghost. If you do that, you get a token of the color of ghost that you brought into play. So there's a blue token. You get to keep that token. Those tokens are now useful in the game in order to add tokens to these action abilities that give you different ongoing effects during the game or in game scoring in some ways. So you'll want to collect those. Some of them are the actions require you to play 3 different color ghost tokens. Some of them you just have to play 3 tokens. They can be at any color. So, but usually the ones with the 3 different color ones appear to be more powerful abilities.
Right.
But not always. I mean, sometimes it depends on the effects. Some of them comboed nicely in there.
Yes, they did.
So, but that was just complete random draw.
It was complete random.
Now, they do have a page in the book where it actually recommends certain combinations of cards if you wanted to use one of the recommended sets, or you can draw 8 random ones. We did a shuffle, blind shuffle. So the second action you can take is to scare. So this is where we're apparently scaring police officers at the police station, because that's the only place where ghosts are. So you would take an action. You're going to put one of the markers on the scare action in that space, which marks that as being used. I guess we used the other one down there for the summon.
Yeah.
And you're going to get to take scare tokens. These scare tokens are useful to upgrade your strength of your ghost. Right. So you collect these and you pay them later on when you take the upgrade action to move up in levels of ghosts that you can control.
Right.
So the for the blue level, when you check your chart, the blue level scare gives you 1 of these tokens. Right. The red level, which is the strongest, gives you 5, so they can go up by 1 for each level of strength. So in this case, we get 1 scare token. So the next action you can take is to upgrade. Now, in order to upgrade, you can only upgrade to 1 level above where you were. So the upgrade, you have to pay the number of scare tokens it requires. So if you move from a blue to a green, you have to have 2 of the scare tokens. Now, we only got 1 for doing that action, but at the beginning of the game, one thing we didn't mention is you get 2 of these to start the game with.
Right.
So we can take our third action on here to spend 2 of these tokens, and then we will replace one of the blue ghosts with a green, which is the next level up. And we do that, we get a token of the color of the green token to add to our set. So that would be 3 actions. That would be 1 player turn.
Right. One of the cool things is that when you upgrade, you don't have to upgrade the very row that you're working in.
Right.
You can upgrade. So if you're upgrading to orange using a row that's already at orange, or you're upgrading to orange using a row that's already at yellow, then you can move something that's at blue all the way up to orange.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a really cool aspect of this, because you can daisy chain upgrades. Mm-hmm. If you had a bunch of these scare tokens accumulated, you could take, if you didn't use upgrade previously, on all 3 of your charts, you could upgrade and increment up one of your other rows. And I took advantage of that a few times to race up to because there's a significant advantage to being first to a color, especially if you get up to like the red.
Right.
So if you increment up, you could use the blue to increment your other row to a green, and then the green to increment up to a yellow. So you could potentially upgrade to your tiers that you haven't used, and then use them to upgrade again, which is a really cool thing. I thought I hadn't seen that mechanic before. I don't think, and I thought that was neat. So when the turn comes back around to Kevin again, his board now has these actions he previously took on those rows locked. He can't use them again. So he would have to choose, if he chose a row, he'd have to choose a different action. So continuing on the actions, the next action is move. So if you play a token onto the move, you can choose any of the ghosts of the strength that you can control. In this case, it's blue or green. Is this the one you upgraded?
Yeah, I figured that's the one.
Yeah. So we'll move the green token because he's got blue or green control over here, and we can move to another location. It has to be adjacent, right, to that. It cannot be diagonal. And whenever you move, there's these tokens that are occupying the spaces. For the first time you move into a space, you can take one of those tokens. And you've got 3 storage spaces for those. Those tokens are one-time use tokens, but once you've used if you fill up all those actions, then you can ultimately replace all those tokens and get more. But you don't, anytime you use one of these discs, it's locked in play until all 3 of those are filled. So you've got to manage your inventory of discs wisely. Because you've got those, you've got the placement of them up here on the board on those actions, and I ran into several situations where I had to rest every turn because I had no option because I just ran out of tokens. Yeah. So you got to be careful of that.
You still won. Ultimate Dark Lord.
That's right. Thank you very much. All right, so that's movement action. So it doesn't really do anything for you except for lets you get ghosts to locations that might let you take advantage of it later. The next action is fight. So if I hadn't moved, I would say there was already a blue one here. These two are different colors, so they don't like each other. That sounds really bad. Sounds kind of, well, racist, I guess.
They just have a prejudice towards each other.
The different various types of ghosts, the strengths of them, do not like each other.
They're very prideful.
Yes. So the green ghost gets to roll a 6-sided die and can fight the one that's a different color. And the blue is weaker, so it gets a 4-sided die. So we roll, the green's challenging the blue. Green got a 6, blue got a 4. So green wins, beats the ghost. If it ties, it doesn't win. So green has to beat that. So he got a 6, that removes the ghost from play, and you get a token for the color of the ghost you removed.
However, we're fighting with the blue. So
the blue challenged the green.
So the blue
So let's take that back. So blue lost against the green. So therefore, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
So you just wasted an action.
Yes.
So that's how the fighting works in this game. And again, you're not fighting each other because these ghosts are shared by everybody. But there are strategic advantages for fighting certain ghosts. Like you tried to take out the red ghost on play because I was the only one that had the capability of controlling the red, which was a very smart move. It just fizzled.
Unfortunately, I even had benefits to increase my die, but unfortunately, you rolled too high.
Yes.
And I rolled too low.
I don't know how it's unfortunate so much as, that was the best thing that could happen in the game.
I disagree.
So that's fighting. So the last action on the board you can take is to place a pumpkin. Now, you only get 6 of these for the entire game. This is your scoring capability. So wherever you have a ghost that's available that matches or below the color of your strength, you can place a pumpkin on that space. So you're using the blue action to do it.
Unfortunately.
So you're going to be placing it on a blue number, which is worth 2 points.
Woo-hoo.
That's how you score victory points in the game. So you can only score those bank 6 times in the game, and the game's over. That triggers the end game. Once someone has placed a pumpkin in all 6 locations, that's one of the conditions that can end this game. So you can, if you want, you can try to race the game by playing your 6 pumpkins quickly, but you're not going to get many points for them. So you want to build up the strength of the ghost before you start playing the pumpkins, ideally. But the challenge is other people can use those same ghosts, so you might be building up the strength of them for somebody else to take advantage of it. It happened right away for me because you took the orange before I could get it.
Yeah.
But the red was my key because you couldn't do anything about that. So I managed to get all the oranges converted to red ghosts.
Before I could do the same.
Yep. So then I was able to take advantage of one turn and get 2 10-pointers. So that really pushed me ahead. And Miranda kind of had her own strategy.
She helped you with it.
Well, she was in between. I mean, she had no choice. In order to upgrade, it was benefiting me, but it was benefiting her too. And as a result, she ended up in 2nd place because of all her placement of tokens on the action. So there are balancing factors to it. Yeah. But the other condition that can end the game, which is what happened for us, is if someone plays 5 tokens on actions up there on the board, that will trigger the end of the game too. So that way you have an alternate, so you don't have somebody that just dominates by score.
So what do you do when all your tokens are on the board, Randy?
Yeah, that's when you have to rest. That's what happened to me a lot. So if you ever run out of the little discs or you just don't have actions you want to take, you can rest on a given row. And when you rest, it still takes the action of that row, but you get to reclaim the entire set of discs that are on that row. If you are ever in a situation like I was several times where you have no discs left, you have to rest. You have no other choice. So, it's a matter of managing. It's kind of like placing your workers in games like Zolkin or things like that, where you have to at some point retrieve them for, but in this case, you get the benefit when you play them. You don't get the benefit when you retrieve them.
Right.
So it's more of a wasted action, but you have to do it. And when you retrieve, it's only one row. That's very important. When you're resting, it rests that action row, which unfortunately will bite you because that's the row that now is available for actions, but you can't use it this round because you rested with it. So one turn I rested at least 2 of my rows. I had this because I had no better actions to take. I needed the pieces back. Now we did have a really nice card in play that gave us 2 of the scare tokens every time you rested. And that really benefited me in the game.
A whole lot.
Yeah. Miranda got it too, but she didn't jump on the bandwagon until halfway through the game.
And I never jumped on it, and that's why I lost.
Yeah. And when she jumped on it, it helped me because one of the things that's nice about the game too is if you're the first to play on an action card and someone later on adds to that action card with their action token, because we all have the option, you can't block a card. Right. But if you're there already, you can either take 1 victory point, which they call haunt points in this. There's scare points and haunt points. That got me back. I got confused on those several times. Haunt points are victory points at the end of the game. Right. So if you are first to a place, you get to take either 1 haunt point or you can rest 1 row of your actions. Strong. Yeah, so that really helped me resting one time. But technically, you got it more than I did, but 1 was at the end of the game, so it really doesn't count. That's really, I think, pretty much all there is to the game, is you're taking those various actions we just mentioned to try to maximize your scoring potential when you play your pumpkins. There are some action cards that give you in-game bonuses. Unfortunately, the one that was in play for us, I never got to take advantage of because Miranda raced the game at the end to keep me from getting any more points,
which was wise.
Yeah, it got her 2nd place. I mean, it guaranteed her 2nd place, and it didn't look like there was much she could do to get me 1st place for me.
No, you had it in the bag,
So I mean, I like the mechanics of this game a lot. I like how it flowed. I was pleasantly surprised, because I was expecting not nearly what I saw as far as the gameplay. When I saw how basically there were so few locations on the board, and I didn't expect the level of complexity of actions that you have with just a matter of 6 actions, really. Right. 7 if you count the resting. So there was a lot of playing other players in this. I had to look at you and see what your little glass beads were at, and realize, okay, if he does this, and what actions you had blocked too. I mean, it wasn't just where your strength of ghosts were, but what actions you had available on them that were key, because it's hard to get rid of those action tokens unless you rest, and if you rest, that row is now off limits for that round. So I could play kind of your board to win. I love games where I can play someone else's board. Right. So I enjoyed that. It helps that I won too. But yeah, I enjoy the player interaction when you can do that. Miranda, on the other hand, she did not like this kind of game. She just didn't enjoy it as much. I mean, it's not really area control. The only area control is the fact that you're the first to place on a token. Because if you place a pumpkin on a 10, no one else can play on the 10. Right. But you can only play 1 pumpkin per building. So you can, when you're playing, you got 6 pumpkins. They have to be 1 in each section. So you can't control an area, but you can get the first spot for scoring in that area. I thought it was a unique game, and I love the theme of it. Is it my favorite action selection game? No. But I like this a lot better than I expected to. I'm probably going to give it a 7.5. I think that's where I am at it. I enjoyed it more than I expected, but I don't think it's quite an 8 level. So what do you think?
Well, I think I enjoyed it more than I expected too. There were definitely times where I was trying to thwart your plans, but others thwarted my thwarting. Which, to me, that's kind of fun to see. As much as I don't like it happening, I also like it happening because it makes it more interesting. I think the mechanics are all very interesting. I have a first impression that I feel like the first player has a stronger position than everybody else because they don't give any benefit to going after the first player.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the game goes, is it a good game? Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I would say a 7.
Okay. So yeah, and when we talk about the first player, whenever the game ending condition triggers, whoever's the first player token, it stays with that first player. So everybody gets an equal number of turns. It does go around, and everybody gets to take turns. So it's not like if Miranda had started the game, you and I would have gotten another turn. She ended the game, but she was last player.
Right.
So that's what ended it.
But there's definitely an advantage of going first, being able to put your stuff on something before somebody else can.
Well, yes and no, because in the if I upgrade to a token to a green from a blue, right?
Right.
You can upgrade from a blue to a green, but then you could actually use the spawn of the green to spawn a green, which I couldn't do.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not so sure I agree fully with that. I mean, yes, there was the fact that I won, but I don't know that. I would say the first player is always going to. I think it depends on strategy and how it plays out.
That's definitely true. I just feel like there's a slight advantage.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
I think it's a slight advantage.
Yeah, I think the bigger impact is there's luck of the die rolls.
Luck of the dice.
That can really influence. So, yeah, so if you don't like die rolling as an aspect to a game, there is that. But that's what the variant takes out. Yeah. So the advanced variant of this game is the stronger ghost automatically wins. So you don't use the bonus tokens, you take away the action cards. It strips this down to being a pure strategy game. And if that's what you're into, then if you don't like luck, you can play it that way. Personally, I think it's going to dull the game down because it's taking out such a significant part of this game. I mean, the cards were a lot of fun, in my opinion. Yeah. The bonus tokens, that was how Miranda offset my strategy. She got the bonus tokens, and she got them every round, and I didn't. Right. So she was able to take a full advantage of those, and it got her pretty close, even though she didn't really build up her ghost strength. Right. So I think there's various ways to win this game, which I thought was interesting, and I love the fact that there's so many different card varieties. Yeah. So I think this will be one that I'd like to get out many Halloweens, to give a try. I don't think it's something I'll probably play all the time, but around Halloween, it definitely fits the bill.
Absolutely.
So that's our impression of Halloween. Hopefully you can find this, and if you're interested, and check it out. It's a very pretty game. It definitely has a nice table presence, and it is an enjoyable game. Yeah. So, all right. Well, until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Ciao.
Bye.